Hi, I'm Justin.
Also, I hate the way my voice sounds, so if you can do whatever Photoshop does to voices, make me sound awesome.
And this is my lovely friend,
The beauty in the eyes of the beholder, and it's just about getting into the seat of being the beholder.
Hayley.
I don't think you have to be particularly perceptive. I just think you have to look up.
This podcast is mostly just her telling me stories.
If you expose yourself to the possibility that this might be really awkward, there can be something just really cool on the other side of it.
She thinks that her life and way of looking at things are
I thought I was kind of waiting on you. I thought you were getting your stuff ready. You're waiting on me?
pretty normal.
You got to edit out all the misinformation about the Amish.
Maybe you can relate
I would like a chance to re-sing the Amish Paradise.
if you want lighthearted stories
All right, you want to talk about goats?
and stream of consciousness.
I just woke up and needed some friends, and so I bought them.
Then you're gonna like the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up.
So, if you're at all like me, you may feel that you're living in a world that can be a bit overwhelming and confusing at times. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts, documentaries, docudramas, stories, and of just information in general. Between all of that and the social media and news, sometimes our brains can feel like they're on overload. Hayley and I hope that this podcast can be something of an antidote to all of that. Like little jello shots of joy and distraction. None of it is too serious or really too informative. Mostly it's just two friends who have conversational chemistry talking about whatever enters the minds of relatively ADHD people. We hope you enjoy.
Taylor's the song "The Man" is speaking to that, and she's like, if you're a woman and you're impassioned when you're speaking, they'll say you're emotional or you are menstruating, and if you're a man, they're like, oh, how good he really cares about what he's talking about.
Fair.
It's exploring the dichotomies, and she's not wrong about it.
Right.
But if you consider her a feminist, she dates men and the relationship she's in with this NFL star now, and he's very powerful and physically powerful and kind of the protector. But he also is totally like, she's so capable, she's so amazing, she's so accomplished, and he's totally comfortable lifting her up and letting her excel at what she's doing. So it's almost like the perfect image of what you would want feminism to be right now, where you're choosing what you would like to be. You don't have to fall into a gender norm, and you're being celebrated for those strengths because your man is confident in his own right that he doesn't feel threatened by it. It's kind of like you and your wife.
Yeah, I was going to say that to me is like, I don't...
Like, you can celebrate her for all of her strengths without being intimidated.
100%.
Or
I don't even understand the other ways of thinking. I mean, and I got really lucky. I mean, clearly people that meet Ollie, when I first start telling them about Ollie, they think I'm doing the polite husband thing where you have to brag about your wife. And I appreciate the men that do that, where you meet the wife and she's really unimpressive and right. And it's like, oh, he's really sweet. He bragged on her. Okay. So I'm going to acknowledge those guys and massive kudos to them. You're very
how sweet.
Yeah. How sweet. Your unimpressive wife. You totally lift her up. Good. That you deserve all. That's not me. Objectively not married to Ollie, she's just one of the most extraordinary people ever. So for me, and I don't care which gender you are, if you're married to somebody like that, who's both insanely talented and an extraordinary human being. Oh, I heard a noise.
I did.
I don't know what that is. Anyways, they're extraordinarily talented and they are kind and compassionate, right? They're not an asshole about it. Then you absolutely should lift them up and be a big supporter and all this stuff. So to me, it's just the most, and so I love it that I happen to be male and she happens to be female. And you do see it in some guys where they struggle a little bit with that. I don't know why. It's almost like there can only be one top dog, only one alpha in this house or whatever, and I don't get it at all.
Okay, an illustration of this that we kind of see playing out in the media right now was Simone Biles and her husband. He's I think he's a professional athlete. I think he's in the NFL. I don't know much about him, but you know her.
She's insane. She's the best ever, right?
I think she might be the most decorated female athlete. And I don't know if that's global or if that's American or whatever, but I
think you're right though.
She's absolutely established her dominance.
Yeah, you watch her flip and you're like, I'm not going to watch anybody else. It's like her level of gymnastics.
She's mastered her industry.
It's magic. Yeah, she's incredible.
In an interview, he said something like, "Oh, I didn't even know who she was." Whenever they matched on some dating app or whatever, he's like, "I didn't know who she was. She pursued me," and the internet ate him for dinner because they were like, "What is wrong with you that you can't celebrate your badass wife for what she is? Because you got to make it sound like, oh no, she was really pursuing me because I'm the catch." And the contrast in a lot of the talks and people that were discussing it were compare Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's relationship to Simone Biles and her husband, where Taylor Swift's current boyfriend is totally willing to lift her up and put her on a pedestal and celebrate her, where Simone Biles' husband seems to feel like he has to belittle her, or just say like, "Oh, I didn't even know who she was. She's coming after me," and maybe that's exactly how it happened. Maybe he just said the truth and innocently stands by, but then he doubles down on it in subsequent interviews and is trying to. The internet did not take kindly to the situation,
sure.
And the contrast was, what kind of man are you whenever you cannot celebrate a strong woman? And again, who knows? I don't know the history, and I didn't listen to the podcast where it was set in context. There could have been a lot more to it, but that is just one of our topics. We would have to significantly narrow it down because it'll be a not long enough symposium. We could make it an all-day conference.
An all-day conference,
Karma is a Contract, Extra Legal Remedies and Remuneration by Taylor Swift. And this would explore some, like the business law professor at the college could kind of speak briefly about the things she did, like re-recording her masters to devalue the where her masters were sold to an enemy. Some of her haters ended up buying it without giving her the chance to buy it back, and she took it back. And being able to discuss, like, hey, in a business sense, how brilliant this move was, how common is it? The idea was sent to her by Kelly Clarkson, so it was like another industry person looking after her. I think Dolly Parton, somebody asked, was it Dolly Parton that was in an interview, and they asked her about it? She's like, yeah, I've done that. So it may not be that uncommon. I don't know.
Well, but Dolly is like... She's the G, man.
Who would not go to a Dolly Parton symposium?
I would absolutely go to Dolly Parton symposium. By the way, I didn't know about Dolly until there was that Radio Lab spinoff that was like a 5 or 6 part. What was it called? I can't remember the name of the podcast. It was a Dolly's World, or anyways. I kind of put Dolly in the same like Taylor Swift world. Her voice annoyed me a little bit. Didn't really understand her music. Didn't understand who she was. And then I listened to this 5 or 6 part podcast on her, and I was like, oh my God, she really is a national treasure.
Absolutely. Like conversations, interviews, she kills it. I have never scrolled past an interview with Dolly Parton in it because I will stop and listen every single time. The things that she says, the ideas, the compassion she has for other people, she is a beautiful human being.
She's a beautiful human being, and one of the things that's really amazing...
Also don't love her music.
Right.
So I'm on the same page with you. Like, if it's not 9 to 5, I'm probably not listening to it. Maybe Jolene.
9 to 5 is great.
Maybe.
Yeah, but no, I know it. Yeah, but totally.
But I would
genius.
defend her with my own life.
Right, absolutely. Well, and one thing that I'm really impressed with her, she's got the comedian's ability to make fun of herself, and she takes away, because, you know, her boobs are her most prominent feature.
Oh, really?
Yes.
How about that?
Yeah, how about that? And so...
I hadn't noticed.
You're right. I haven't noticed these enormous boobies. But no, what's amazing with her is in almost all of her, when I would watch her do these different sit-downs, she would do the joke first, pretty early on, about her boobies, and then with the genius of it, what people don't understand is it was like she already knew the audience or the interviewer was thinking something.
Yeah.
Right? So she addresses it, makes fun of herself, beats him to the punch. Now she owns that. Now what are you going to say? Oh, yeah, I also was going to make that joke. Nope, you're done. And now we can move on to the more substantive stuff. Genius.
Anybody who's ever been bullied knows that game.
Yeah,
and it is powerful.
It is.
You're deflating the bounce house of your enemies. It will, just take it.
Bounce house of your enemies.
You're just taking it down around them and owning the area. No, she's just a real treasure, and the way that she talks about other people and seems to care about other people.
Yep. Dolly for president.
You don't have young children in your life at this moment, but she has a program where any child under the age of 5 can sign up and receive a book a month until they turn 5 years old from the Dolly's Library or whatever the foundation is called, because she's such a proponent of childhood literacy.
Yeah. I saw that. It's incredible.
Incentives that she gives the high school graduates in her county, like I don't remember if it was a cash incentive or scholarship or whatever, if you would make it to graduation. Just thing after thing after thing that she does. Someone I knew or saw online, I don't remember, but it was in a hospital in her county in Tennessee, and there was something hanging on the wall, and they asked the nurse about it, and the nurse explained, oh, yes, Dolly Parton is a quiet kind of partner of our department. When there are people here who can't pay for the services, we will let her know, and she will quietly foot the bill.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's so beautiful to see people do nice things and use their influence invisibly.
Right.
And I think that she's a master of it. We'll never know all the good that she does because she doesn't advertise it.
Right. And one thing that I was blown away by her as well, if I caught this right in an interview, she talked about how she's already embracing all the AI stuff. So instead of being like one of these people, it's like, no, I don't want my likeness and voice to be taken over by the robots, which is going to happen anyways. She was like, oh no, I'm like planning for it. I'm planning on the robots and AI being able to like totally use my voice and even like write, not just re-sing old songs, but like write new songs in my vein and style.
Love that.
Right? So that her progeny will continue to receive the royalties like in perpetuity, not just from her catalog of what she's going to be able to write in her physical lifetime, but in her likeness and the sound of her voice and in her style after. And I was like, dang, this chick is thinking like 100 years down the road.
How do we get intellectual property rights over?
Hello, lovely friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it would mean the world if you would tell other people about this podcast and maybe even spam your social media accounts with just how much you're enjoying it. If you are, of course. Also, commenting and rating us on whatever platform you're downloading or streaming from is incredibly helpful to a little startup podcast like this one. On the other hand, if you are dissatisfied with your listening experience, please leave all of that hate on someone else's podcast. Just maybe to confuse them a little bit, right? But most of all, we hope you keep looking up and looking for the sunny side of life.